Hi Oddings, it's your Ate Sapphire. After this episode, you can hear 4 more stories over on the Something Scary podcast, available for free on Apple Podcasts or wherever you listen to your favorite shows. The links are in the description below.
Hey, I'm Sapphire.
Want to hear something scary? Do this in memory of me.
Our first chapter is inspired by a true story submitted by Audie. Recently, they stayed with their tia in Mexico, and when they asked her to make her famous pozole, this is what she told them. I will never eat pozole again. There's a church in my neighborhood that I've been going to every Sunday for the past year or so, and after every Mass, all of the members move next door to the hall where free lunch is served. Every week, it's the same delicious pozole, a traditional red stew with pork and vegetables, and it's all prepared and provided by Lupe Espinoza, a kind young woman. Lupe had been involved in the church long before I became a member. She was the most dedicated Catholic I had ever met. She ran the youth group and food drives and volunteered all over the city. After every Mass, she would give an individual greeting to every single person and memorized everybody's name. Everybody practically worshipped her, especially her husband, Eduardo. He was also involved in the community, but even he knew he wasn't as beloved as Lupe. Personally, I was always slightly creeped out by how intense they were. Lupe never broke eye contact with you when you were speaking, and Eduardo treated Lupe like she was a god. His wife seemed to be his proudest achievement. But they both did so much good in the community, it felt wrong to think ill of them, even though they both seemed a little off. One thing was for sure, their pozole was divine. One Sunday, I woke up late and forgot to eat breakfast before heading to Mass. My stomach was gurgling through the whole service, and it only got worse during the transubstantiation, which is when the priest turns the bread and wine into the body and blood of Jesus.
Take this, all of you, and drink from it. This is my blood.
In Catholicism, we believe that an actual transformation happens in that moment. That is actually Jesus' body and blood that we are about to consume. We believe that it brings us closer to God.
Do this in memory of me.
The second Mass was over, I rushed over to the hall to get in line for food. Maybe it was because I was extra hungry that day, but the pozole was even better than I remembered. I had always prided myself for my cooking skills, especially my own pozole recipe, but the Espinosas had me beat. I decided to ask Lupe about it. Your pozole is the best I've ever had. What's your secret? Lupe stared into my eyes, smiled, and delicately placed a hand on my shoulder. Just God's love. The following Sunday, I went to Mass as usual. But the Mass was not as usual. It was a memorial service for Lupe. During the week, the youth group went on one of those home building trips, like Habitat for Humanity, and a large metal crossbeam fell right on top of Lupe. It would have slammed right into 3 teenagers, but Lupe pushed them out of the way. After the service, everybody congregated in the hall. Once everybody had a bowl of soup in their hands, Eduardo addressed the crowd. Thank you all for coming. My wife loved all of you very much. Please, raise your bowls. Take this, all of you, and drink it. To Lupe. Everybody took a sip. We all took our seats and continued to eat the pozole. But it tasted a little different. Not worse, just different, which made me realize that Lupe was probably the better chef, not Eduardo. I was nearing the bottom of my bowl, so I picked it up and slurped the rest. All that was left was a small chunk of meat. I went to stab it with my fork, but it was surprisingly tough. I continued to stab it, and in doing so realized that it was a thumb. A goddamn human thumb with the bone still inside. I screamed and immediately started gagging. I threw the thumb onto the table. Everyone around me gasped in horror and disbelief. I turned to Eduardo and shouted, "What did you feed us?" He simply stared back, raised his hands and said, "She died for others. Do this in memory of her." You're insane.
What the hell is wrong with you?
Oh my God. Angry shouts echoed throughout the hall as people began vomiting everywhere. We held Eduardo in that room until the police came. I didn't do anything wrong. You should be grateful. We're all closer to God. Want more Something Scary? You can hear 4 more stories over on the Something Scary podcast, available for free on Apple Podcasts or wherever you listen to your favorite shows. The links are in the description below. If you'd like to submit a story, send me an email at somethingscary@snarled.com. Like and share this video if it gave you the chills. And don't forget to subscribe to Snarled and turn on the bell for notifications. And if you dare, follow me on social media. Until next time, sweet dreams.